Welcome to Baby's Birthday. Each show joins a mum-to-be and counts down to the birth of their baby, revealing all the drama, laughter and tears involved in giving birth. Because let's be honest, giving birth is never a walk in the park. To help chart each birth, this is the Baby's Birthday Clock. It's there to count down to each mum's due date. And once labour kicks off, the clock kicks in and times the birth so you know exactly how long each mum's been in labour, whether it's 2 hours or a whopping 20 hours. All the action of the birth is boiled down into a half-hour show. So, we'd better crack on.
I just hope it's going to be straightforward and there's going to be no complications.
Coming up, single mum-to-be Janine gets ready to give birth to her first child and has no idea what lies ahead. 28-year-old Janine is expecting a baby boy that she's going to call Oliver. But 9 months ago, finding out she was having a baby was the last thing she expected.
I'm not with the father anymore. It's not a planned pregnancy. But now that the baby's obviously due to come along, I'm very, very happy about it and I'm really, really excited. There's not actually been a time where I thought, oh my gosh, you know, it shouldn't have happened, but life throws things at you that you either deal with or you don't, and I dealt with it. And now I'm going to be a mum and I'm really excited. Just really can't wait.
Janine's moved back into her family home before the baby arrives. Although she's no longer with the father and he won't be involved in baby Oliver's life, there are two very willing substitutes in the form of Janine's mum and her sister Amy, and they'll be with her every step of the way.
I'm not looking forward to seeing my sister in pain. I think it would be hard for me to, understand, and I'm scared. But for my sister, I'll show that I'm fine, but probably out of the room, I'll be like, oh, fainting everywhere.
I have never been a birthing partner before, and I'm very nervous about seeing my own child in pain. Watching your own child go through the birthing process is going to be quite scary. Even though I know it's perfectly normal and natural and something that all mothers go through, it's not something I'm looking forward to, though. Hoping I can handle that okay.
My mum and my sister came down for my first scan at 20 weeks, so that was quite exciting. Emotionally, they've always been on the other end of the phone if something's not been right or I just need a good cry. They've always been there for me.
A bit like yourself.
She's just had the usual aches and pains, nothing major at all. Just this last week, I think it's getting to her now. She's overdue. She's tired.
Janine isn't just overdue, she's a whopping 11 days overdue. And if Oliver doesn't decide to show his little face soon, Janine will be induced.
I am quite scared of the drugs more than actually giving birth, which is quite bizarre, really. Because I know they're there to help me, and I've never had any bad reaction to, medical things in the past. I just, don't know, just a bit anxious about them, that's all. I don't like hospitals and I don't like medical things, and I'm quite scared of what kind of effects they'll have on me and the baby, really, but I'm sure by halfway through it I'll be asking for them all, so just fingers crossed. Gas and air makes you feel like you're drunk, and I don't mind feeling like that, so not been drunk for a long time. But it'd be quite nice.
She's just blossoming, full of energy. I'm amazed at how much energy she's had. I think the excitement of the new flat and, of course, the new baby has really kept her buzzing. But, yeah, she's just blossomed. She looks wonderful. She really does look wonderful.
I think it's good that I work with children because I've got a bit of knowledge, so I can help my sister along the whole process, because my sister's never been around children before, so I think that'll be useful. And I just can't wait to hold him because he's late. We're just like, come on, we can't wait to hold him and get him out.
Don't really have a birth plan. It's just basically, I just hope it's going to be straightforward and there's going to be no complications and it doesn't hurt as much as everybody says it does. Which I'm sure it does.
And she's about to find out. Janine didn't need inducing and her waters broke. After a slow start to labour, Janine's admitted to hospital already 10 hours into labour, and the pain has well and truly kicked in. Although wary of drugs, once the pain starts, Janine's concerns don't seem quite so strong.
I wasn't planning on having pethidine because I wasn't planning on having any drugs because I was too scared of them. And the midwife sat down with me and told me, you know, what kind of feelings I'd have and the side effects, and so I agreed to have that in the end, and I had the injection in my bottom.
She opts for pethidine, a strong painkiller which seems to be doing the trick.
It's the brain.
It's just when you start reading up on things.
She reads up on it.
Yeah.
I'm drunk.
But the drugs only work for so long and the laughs are short-lived, so Janine swaps onto the gas and air, while all her mum can do is watch.
Nothing could prepare me for seeing my own child going through the process of giving birth. That was the hardest thing, to see her in pain.
It may be painful, but Janine's got a tight grip on the situation.
I'm amazed she didn't exhaust herself just with her hand exercises. She's probably got a huge bicep now on that one arm.
A quick check of the baby's heartbeat shows he's the calmest one in the delivery suite.
You could see from the monitor that Oliver was fine, and I could see from the monitor that Janine was fine. So that was a huge reassurance.
So pethidine worn off now, is it?
After pethidine and gas and air, Janine explores what else is on the drugs menu to relieve her pain.
You've got the option of an epidural if you wanted an epidural.
What's that?
You know, have you read about epidurals?
Is that the one where you can't feel your legs?
Janine decides to stick with her first choice, pethidine, but as it's a strong drug, she can only top it up every 4 hours. It's time for a second shot. Janine is clocking up the labour hours and Oliver is nowhere near to say hello yet.
I know I ended up having, I think I had about three shots of it in the end, or 2 maybe. We're umming and ahhing about whether I had 3 or not, because I seem to remember her giving me an injection in this, like, because I'd had 2 in that one and she didn't want to use me as a pincushion.
It's all getting a bit emotional for Mum.
I think the early stages of labour were the hardest for me, because that was my time of having to get used to seeing Janine in pain.
I can't do it anymore, Mum.
Everyone's getting emotional.
It was difficult to see my sister in pain and I couldn't cope with it and I was really emotional. And it was more my mum who was stepping in and I was in the background just crying. I think birthing partners will break down and cry because it is really emotional time.
Love you. No.
Yeah, I know, sweet, I know. No, don't touch. All right.
She's been having intermittent auscultation and fetal heart. She went on the monitor when she first came in.
Janine's been in hospital for 5 hours and it's time for a midwife shift change. But never fear, Lisa's here.
But she's happy now, lying on her left-hand side.
Right.
She's just started getting quite distressed with the contractions. When I examined her, she was only 5 centimetres dilated, but I truly think she's actually just got cracking.
Is that all to then now?
It's time for Janine to meet her new midwife.
I love the midwife. All right. See you now. See you. See you. Bye. See you. Bye.
See you, Karen. Right, Janine, if you just roll over to me, in between, we get another one.
I'm scared. Oh, it's coming.
All right. Go on now.
She gets to get one.
Good girl. Well done. Good girl.
And Janine's back on the gas and air to help with the pain.
Deep breath. Big deep breath. Not going to die.
19 hours of labour have sent Janine over the edge.
I just couldn't hack the pain anymore. I think maybe the pethidine was wearing off at that point, and I just had enough. I don't know how long I'd been going at it. I don't even think I was at the pushing stage, I don't think. I think I was still just having these, I think I was just still dilating, but it was, I was just tired and I just wanted it to be over. I wanted to see my baby, and I think it was a lot of frustration and anger, maybe. I just wanted it out.
But Janine's got a long way to go yet. After the break, Janine realises she's only just begun, and baby Oliver is in no rush whatsoever. Welcome back. Janine's 20 hours into labour with her first child and she isn't coping with the pain. But her mum and sister are doing all they can.
I was very frightened of moving and people touching me because I thought if somebody was to touch me it'd hurt, or moving like into a different position because I thought it'd make the pain even more.
Mum, I want to die.
Janine thinks her baby son can't be far away, but after a quick examination, midwife Lisa has to break the news that she's got a long way to go. Things haven't progressed in the last few hours.
We do examine ladies every 4 hours in labour just to ensure that the cervix is dilating at a regular rate. However, when I examined her, she hadn't actually dilated any further. So I've just discussed this with Janine, that progress has been quite slow, and we've just commenced an infusion of syntocinon. We like to see the cervix dilate at about 1 centimetre an hour or thereabouts, but obviously no progress in 4 hours. We've got to do something.
I just remember being attached to something. I don't remember. I think the drip had two purposes. One to help me dilate, and the other one was food.
So Janine's been given another drug to help get things moving.
You sure? Upright's better. To move, aren't you? A bit more if you can.
The midwife wants to move Janine into a more comfortable position, but Janine's not having any of it.
The midwife, my mum and my sister, I remember them trying to get me into a more comfortable position because I was hanging off the side of the bed. I remember feeling very frightened because I knew what the pain was like there, and I thought if I moved, it'd make the pain worse or it'd hurt to move, so I didn't want to take that chance. And it was just easier just to leave me where I was.
Oh, all right. All right.
Oh, come on, nobody was there then.
Sweet me, I was just at the top. It's all right.
I remember panicking every time my mum wanted to leave the room. If something bad happened, I wanted her to be there. You know, 28 years old and I can't cope without my mum for a second.
Oh, fantastic, Nicole. Was happy. Sometimes she looked at me and she said, "Mum, it really hurts." And I said, "I know, sweetheart." And she looked me right in the eye. She said, "I know you do." Big breath. Deep, really deep. Good girl. Good girl. It's all right, sweetheart. All right.
Janine, calm down. Calm. Stay relaxed. She was in that much pain that she was forgetting when to, to calm the breathing down after the contraction. So what I'd do with her, I'd go through the contraction, I was squeezing her hand and helping her, go through the contraction, and then I would ask her whether it, calmed down, and she'd say yeah. And I would explain it was her time to just calm down. And it really helped. We got into a really good routine.
We bonded really well, actually, at one point where she was telling me that the pain was there for a reason, and then once the pain had gone, it was now my time to just relax and chill out. And we did that for quite a while, and it worked really well. She was excellent.
The gas and air also works rather well.
Just to make sure there's no infection there, that's it.
After a humongous 25.5 hours, the top of baby Oliver's head can be seen and the midwife is summoned to get Janine through the last leg of labour.
Excellent.
My mum turned around, and I think it was my sister as well, and said, we can see the head. And I thought, yes! I thought, gosh, this is it, finally, it's over.
I can even see him, but I've got no eyes. Even Amy can see him, she hasn't got eyeglasses.
I got quite excited as well, because I think You know, my sister at one point said, "Oh, look at the little head," and then as the head was coming out, I was like, "Look at the big head." She didn't realise like it was just the top of his head. I think she actually thought that was his head, how small it was.
The baby's not far off, so in comes the birthing trolley.
There we go.
Again. Good girl. That's it. Now then, over. Yeah. It's a good one. Go on again while it's there. Two bottom. Go on.
Good girl.
Very good.
That's
Well done.
Janine thinks the baby's half out, but the little tykes pop back in.
When I was pushing, I could feel the baby's head coming out, but then once my contractions had stopped, I relaxed and the baby's head seemed to go back in again. And I think that went on for probably a good hour.
I'm ripping.
You're not ripping.
At one point, I think I screamed, I'm ripping. And that was actually when the head was going in, out, in, out. I think it was actually when it eventually came out and I was waiting for my other contraction, because it did actually feel like my whole undercarriage had gone.
After an hour of hokey cokey, the hardest part is over and Oliver's head is finally home free.
Fine. Here we go, sweetheart.
I looked away when his head come out because I did feel faint at that time, and it was weird because you can see the head, the whole head's out, and it doesn't look alive.
Here he is.
Hello.
Oh, baby. You got a baby.
A little boy.
You got breathing.
After an absolutely exhausting 27.5 hours of labour, little Oliver George finally makes his appearance.
Because he's holding his breath. Look at him.
No.
He's got his
Right.
When Oliver was finally born, it was pure relief that the whole experience was over.
Please let me make him cry.
Being present when a new baby has come into the world is overwhelming. You know, you've gone through all that, all the pain, and you see my sister in pain and the tiredness and everything.
The actual birth was amazing because, of course, I've had babies myself, but you don't see it from that angle. That was absolutely amazing. It does seem absolutely incredible that something that size comes out of something that size, and it's like, wow, it was amazing. I suppose if I was concerned at any time, it was then the reality of, oh, is he okay? Is everything all right?
Oh, Janine, that's my beautiful. You are so beautiful, aren't you?
After all the exhaustion, frustration and pain, everyone is elated and just a little bit emotional.
Ollie, you're not breathing, is he?
But after an arduous labour, the happiness is short-lived. Janine panics. She thinks Oliver has stopped breathing.
I only really had one fear throughout the labour was once the baby was out that he wouldn't start breathing, and that was in my mind all the way through the labour. And it was quite strange actually, because when he did come out, he's not really a cryy baby now, and he didn't cry when he came out. He just sort of like made coughing and spluttering noises, and she put him on me, and as he was starting to go pink, and then he stopped breathing.
Mom, his eyes are going. He's blinking, Mummy. He's tired. How long has he been in labour? He's doing so well. God.
Thankfully, it's just a false alarm. And like Mum, Oliver is just a bit tired after the lengthy labour.
Oh my God. Am I okay?
You're absolutely fine.
Well done, you.
You're absolutely
He's gorgeous.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
Stunning looking baby.
Yes, he's lovely.
I know my sister's, but he's still gorgeous. Little Oliver George, aren't you? Yeah.
When Oliver was placed on my stomach, I just felt very emotional. I just remember thinking, wow, he's huge. How did he fit in there? And he's never going to fit into his baby clothes I've brought. And I was more excited about the fact of how much he weighed. I wanted to feel proud that I'd pushed like a 9-pound baby out.
Oliver weighs in at a healthy £8.15.
8.50.
Oh, the lovely bigger babies because they're already podgy. And they've got the little chubby cheeks and the little dimply arms and things. They always look just so gorgeous, don't they? Because I think it's that body fat that makes it, isn't it? Really cute.
I think it's just a great experience to see a little baby being born. And I think with me and my sister, I think we bonded well as well with each other, and we did a great thing going on. But yeah, I would definitely do it again. See it all done again. Not for 27.5 hours though. Maybe for 5.
I remember him lying there in my arms. I remember just looking at him and he was looking back at me, and I was thinking, wow, he's mine. But I'm so scared and I want to cry, but I want to laugh, and it's all done.
Oh, come on.
You do look back on the labour and think, it wasn't that bad. But at the time, it obviously was that bad. But you do look back and you do think, I can't really remember much about it. I can't remember much about the pain. And yes, you'd probably do it again, but maybe not quite so soon. My life has changed so much since Oliver was born. I feel different, a bit more grown up probably. It'll never be the same again. I can't just think about myself now.
After a 27.5-hour labour, Janine and her son Oliver are all set for their new life together.